Heyo, 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 and welcome to a very special episode of Titanic Talkline because it's particularly chock full of nonsense that I just can't wait to get to. I don't really have a whole lot of housekeeping except, buy a t-shirt, subscribe, leave a review, buy a button, send me an email if you're in the United States, and I might just send you some free merch. And here, enjoy. Shut up. I have a trivia thing. I'm going to read you something, and then I'm going to ask you a question about it.
Ask me a question. Yeah, let's see.
All right, here we go. We stand on the decks of our own modern sophistication and wave goodbye to the old-fashioned virtues of faith in God, marital fidelity, and the sanctity of life, even though our very prosperity was built upon them. Like the passengers of the Titanic who gave no thought to the strength of the Irishmen who built their vessel at the Harland and Wolff shipyards in Belfast, so do we give no thought to the virtues of those who built our ship of state, and we, like they, do so at our peril. We love this movie because we still love truth. The truth of 1912 and the truth about our own time. There are icebergs ahead, and we know it. Okay. Which currently pretty famous Republican politician wrote that?
I was gonna say, that's like the opening lines to Little Women, but no. Wait, what?
Yes, that was written by someone
lucky enough. I don't keep my
currently...
head too deep in Republican affairs.
You don't need to. It's a big one.
Is this?
It's a big one. I mean, like top 3.
There's too many words in there for Donald Trump to know, so I can't be a Trump.
Him.
I mean, granted, they have ghostwriters and shit like that.
No,
a Republican author? James Woods? That's what I'm like. I have no. Yeah, I feel bad because I am the last person who would. Well, who is it? Well, what's the?
This was written by former Vice President Mike Pence.
The fuck? What's that? Is that like the forward for a book he put out?
No, apparently he used to write like weird columns for a newspaper, and he wrote why he thinks Titanic is popular.
So he's equating the Republican platform to building the Titanic? Know. And like we're brave? What? I don't understand. That's kind of a weird self-own. Is he talking about America? I mean, that's true. I mean, America's been... Well, it's not like the Irish were slaves, but like...
Maybe they...
Oh, actually, if you want to talk... Maybe he is right if he's talking about America, but like, yeah. And it's funny, because he... Actually, instead of being captain of the Titanic, he's the captain of the iceberg that sank the fucking...
I know, right? Like,
metaphorical.
We know what the iceberg is, Pence. It's you and your party.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so apologies to anyone listening to this podcast who's a Pence voter, I guess. Holy shit.
Get off my podcast.
That fucking Johnny Quest dad-looking motherfucker. That guy, I don't understand how... That guy, he looks like he escaped Toontown. The way... Because he looks like a goddamn fucking Venture Brothers villain. God
he
damn it.
He does look a bit like a Grand Theft Auto-generated villain.
Yeah, that fucking like hair that looks like it was painted on. I'm the last person in the world who should be talking shit about how anyone else looks, but, like, there are some people who are like, fuck, look like they were designed in a fucking cartoon.
Your hair you can change. It's one of those things where it's like, you picked that, my man. You woke up.
Yeah, and he loves it. He loves his painted on hair.
House with.
I'm proud of my white skull cap. Fucking, I mean, granted, he's, fucking crazy religious motherfucker, so who knows what the fuck logic is going through those fried circuits, but anyway, so what are we talking about today?
I have absolutely no idea. All I knew is I was starting it off that way, but I have...
Just freestyle. Let's open up today's newspaper and just riff on the current headlines. Let's see if by any chance there's any Titanic news.
Well, I've been listening to, there might be. Actually, someone just posted on my timeline on Facebook about the Titanic 2 and asked me my opinion on it, and I'm going to tell you my opinion on the Titanic 2, but do you know what that is, and what is your opinion on it if you do?
Is that the thing where somebody was talking about, like, actually building a second Titanic?
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Or is it supposed to be, like...
But who? But, yeah.
Is it supposed to be, like, a replica of the Titanic, or is it supposed to be, like, another... Because you can't... I mean, the whole point of the Titanic is that it killed 1,500 people, so you can't build, like, a 100% replica of it. It's gonna have to be filled with, like, lifeboats and shit, and, like, radar scopes and Yeah.
Exactly, and I don't think people would very much buy into the whole, yeah, I'll share a dorm room in third class with 3 other people I don't know. But,
You might be able to fill 2,200 people on that first voyage, but, like, after that, good luck. Unless the tickets are,
right.
like, super fucking cheap. Like, yeah, that's
I
not good.
don't,
Even if you were to magically produce, like, a perfectly working replica of the original ship. But yeah.
I would say that if you're gonna do something like that, because here's what I was thinking, because I'm an absolute loon and have definitely thought about this, is like, if I were an eccentric billionaire and wanted to replicate the Titanic, I would try to buy the dry dock in Southampton. Well, the dock where it
Is
launched
that
from,
not
because
all
it's
Game of
currently
Thrones stuff now?
it might be, but I can't remember if it's in Belfast or Southampton, but one either where it was built or where it launched from is like empty and abandoned for two reasons. One being money, and two being
God, this is
probably
terrible.
everyone.
You think
I know, right?
we're supposed to be Titanic experts and can't even remember exactly? No,
Not a
Southampton
fucking
was
expert.
its port of call, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
but it
built
was built
in
in
It was
Belfast.
built. I mean, I know it was built in Ireland. Titanic, Belfast,
But
Slip. Let's see.
I think
Because
I think that's what's currently abandoned, and the reason I bring
Harland
that
and
up
Wolff.
is because yeah, because if that area is still empty and abandoned, you should build a dry dock version of the Titanic there and use it as a museum. Then it could be.
See, that
It
would be
could
fun.
be
You know,
a
I'm actually.
replica.
I kind of wonder if it hadn't been, because I think what happened was, this must have happened before Game of Thrones started filming in Ireland.
I've never seen
But I
Game
think
of
what
Thrones. Actually,
happened is
that's a lie.
somebody
I've
bought
seen
up
one
all the
episode.
Harland and Wolff. Oh no, but I think Ireland, they bought up the Harland and Wolff old manufacturing facility where the Titanic was built, and they turned it into a film studio. And I think I'm assuming, if you're living in Ireland and you're hearing this and you're going, you motherfucker, how do you not know more about this? But I think
Email
one of
me
the
and tell
first
me.
projects that came in was Game of Thrones, and of course Game of Thrones was a huge hit, so Game of Thrones just kind of took over the whole, what used to be where the Titanic was built. I
Cool.
think I remember specifically they were talking about, like, there were leaked photos from, like, the Game of Thrones series finale that everyone hated, but, like, leaked photos came out of, like, the main city on fire and stuff like that, and I could see that, like, you could see in the background, it's like the same skyline from, like, the old Titanic photos from, like, 1912, and I'm like,
Nice.
wow, that is weird that, like, you could see, like, Emilia Clarke on a dragon's back. Oh, well, like, not even on a dragon's back. She's on a big, like, blue mattress that they're gonna put in a dragon later. But, like, sitting where, like, you know, the Titanic's bow was when it was being under constructed. Me speak English, and that's impossible. But what the fuck? I'm sorry, I'm going off on stuff. But I kind of wonder if it hadn't been for Game of Thrones, I wonder if they would have just, especially after. Well, no, but the Titanic movie came out before. Let's put it this way. I agree with you. It's weird that they just don't take where the Titanic was built and turn that into a museum.
Especially
Even if you don't
because
have a
there's
100%
demand.
replica. Yeah.
Right, because there's like, people will go literally anywhere. I mean, like, we were talking about Pigeon Forge last time. People go to the middle of goddamn Tennessee to see stuff about the Titanic. Surely they would have no problem
You think in
going to
Southampton there's got to be something, right? Because even
think that there
the
is.
port of call, even if it's, you think at least if someone just built a replica of the pub Jack won his tickets in. Again, not to
think that's the pub
conflate
that's
the
actually
movie with
there.
history, but yeah,
I think that's an actual pub that's there called Grapes.
yeah. Or at least even in Mexico where they shot the movie. You'd think they would have just kept the Titanic they built and just built a hotel into it. And then they
think
could be
for a
like,
while
hey,
they-
guess what? We could dunk this hotel into a bucket of water.
If I remember correctly, they did keep the sets there for years and years and years, and people
You
could
would
tour
hope.
them. I don't know that they
God.
were like public tours, but
I could see maybe, yeah. I know those
And I don't
facilities
know
will
what
be
happened to
later
the
used for
model,
other
though.
movies, but yeah, because I've seen people talk about how, oh, this was shot on the same dunk tank in the Mexico facility as Titanic and stuff. But
I can imagine so. Because, like, if you were Fox or whoever that put all that money into building those sets and those tanks and this and that, it would be like, I'm getting all the fucking use out of that as I can.
oh, I'm sure in retrospect, if they knew how much money that movie would have made, they would have like built that Titanic.
Memorialize
It would have
those.
probably been a hotel first, a movie set second, and they would have like rushed everyone else out, everyone off the set as soon as possible. They could start
Get the
like
guests
taking
in.
pre-orders for like guest staying there. But
But here's the thing. That's why I think a dry dock. So in my brain, if I had all the money, I would build a dry dock version of Titanic that was like a size for people now, like
fat people.
No, well, people are taller now too.
See, I'm a fat person, so I can make that joke, but I just like the idea. It's just a double wide ship.
He had to make the grand staircase in the movie bigger because if he made it to scale, people would have looked out of proportion because they're just bigger now.
Oh, wow.
But if you were to do that and then
was it not just because fucking Leonardo DiCaprio was just a tiny person? He's like Tom Cruise, so they had shut up, Bill. Go ahead.
I think it was. That would have been even more funny if they were just like, we're going to make this really, really small because we need you all to look huge.
We want you to look grand, like you could just pick up people and put them in your pocket.
Move them around. Yeah. This is a vor porn. Did we not tell you, Leo?
Yeah! Wow, I never thought I'd go on a Titanic podcast within 5 minutes would start talking about vor. Yeah, it's like Attack on Titan, except it's... See, you have because as we're talking, you got into a car accident earlier today, and you posted about it on Twitter, and I saw that you have a Sailor Moon sticker on the back of your car, so I'm assuming you know more about anime than I do, because I don't know shit about anime. I know, the only reason I know Attack on Titan exists is because I colored a comic book about it, but
nice.
That's what, so now I'm just, but don't the giants go around eating people, so that would be like Leonardo DiCaprio.
I've never seen that one.
But then he could save everyone, because then he could keep the ship afloat.
So basically what we
like
need
Gulliver's
is
Travels.
Yeah.
We need he could fly up the butt of Titanic.
Well, then he could throw a growth disc to Jack, who could grab it, get super fucking huge. They could both pick up a half of the ship.
Well, no, what you do is... Actually, man, if you got Ant-Man powers and you got one shrinky disc. What you do is you get as many people into the lifeboats as possible. The rest of everyone else stays on the ship. And then you shrink the ship and put it in someone's pocket on the lifeboat before it founders. And then you just pluck it out of the water. And then, you just get on Carpathia and everyone goes home. And well, I guess hopefully if you have a bigoting disc, so when you bring it back to port, you can make everyone bigger. Otherwise, you're just going to have this permanent...
little sunk.
They
can go live in the Derek Zoolander Center for kids who want to learn how to read. Good.
Imagine you survived the Titanic accident, but you only survived because you got shrunk down to pocket size, and now you have to spend your rest of your life because you were exactly. And that's that's the story of how the Littles began. Now you start a whole new offshoot of society because maybe 1,500 people still on the ship. Maybe that's enough to actually start a whole new species. Yeah,
did Rose change her name to Arrietty when she got to New York? Just quick question.
Exactly. Yeah, she married the Mice King.
Thumbelina.
I want that Titanic movie. Jesus Christ.
Titanic.
Okay. So we were originally... Maybe I misread things. I thought we were going to talk about a documentary today.
We were, and then I didn't watch it because everything happened.
Well, okay, I feel better than fucking... I'm going to put this book I had in my hand aside. I'm going to put... Okay, so we are just talking about that. Okay, now I feel better. Okay. I just felt bad because I know you try to make these episodes an hour long, and I guess we recorded late, but we're already 45 minutes past our starting times, and I was like, oh my god, we've already talked for 45 minutes, but anyway, so actually maybe this is a good thing. Hopefully anyone listens.
We're going to talk about a documentary that I did not watch, so that would have gone great.
So yeah, originally we were going to talk about... Secrets of the Titanic, because my whole end of the Titanic thing was a combination of the National Geographic 1986 documentary about Bob Ballard discovering the Titanic called Secrets of the Titanic, and a combination of Bob Ballard's book Discovering the Titanic, which that's a lot to talk about. Originally I had suggested we talk about both of those in one episode. I really could probably separate, especially if we're only doing an hour on each, we could probably separate this. But we'll talk about this some other day, so okay, that's good. How you doing?
I'm here.
You're alive?
I am alive. That's stupid. It wasn't even an intense car accident, it was just...
Oh, no.
It takes a special amount of not concentration to run into a parked car. That's all I'm gonna say.
Was the person drunk or something?
No, I think this was a classic case of cell phone.
I was going to not paying attention or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean,
well, you probably got insurance and everything. See, I don't drive, so I don't know how this stuff works. So I'm assuming insurance would take care of it.
I do have insurance, and I live in an area where this kind of shit happens, so this is the fourth time I've had to get something done to the bumper. It's
Now you can get Sailor Moon painted onto the bumpers, too.
I could do that. I outright own my car now.
Oh, man. But yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear about that wreck. But yeah, so you want to talk about Titanic 2?
Titanic 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I could see that.
Oh, I have a dumb question. Here's another thing. I am sleep deprived, so I have a really dumb question.
Yeah, okay.
How would you turn Titanic into a Star Wars movie?
Man, this is my thing, because when I was a kid, this is not Star Wars, but this is kind of Star Wars related. Have you ever...
I did just ask a Star Wars related question.
Did we just... I can't remember if we talked about this last time.
We went on a massive tangent about Star Wars, but this is a different
question.
No,
but did we talk about, was it called... In America, it was called Star Blazers. It's called... Oh, God, was it called Battleship Yamato in Japan? Have you ever heard about that anime? That Japanimation? In Japan, back in the late 70s, early 80s, they had an anime called Battleship Yamato, which is about... it takes place in like the 21st century, or like maybe early 22nd century. For some reason, humanity has to escape Earth. And for some reason, they decided the easiest way to escape Earth is to dredge up the old World War II Japanese battleship, the Yamato, and turn into a spaceship and fly into the stars and go fight aliens and stuff like that. And as a kid, I always thought that'd be cool because I think the Titanic is bigger, or maybe the same size as the Yamato. So as a kid, I was always like, what if you dug up the Titanic and put it back together and like put a big gun on it, and then you could go fly into space, and that'd be cool too. It's not quite Star Wars.
It's Star Wars-esque that's how we get the ship into space.
Yeah. You could always, within Star Wars, come up with like a Titanic-type legend where there's like, would it just be like a ship, like a giant cruise? Well, I guess Star Wars, they just came up, like Disney just came up with the big... Here's my Star Wars Disney pitch. It's, the new hotel that they just unveiled. Yeah. Well, no, 6 months ago they unveiled as we're recording this. Maybe that sinks into the ocean. So actually, it's more of a documentary than even a Star Wars thing. But it's because it's supposed to take place, even though it's a landlocked hotel. I think it's in Florida. It's not even in California. I think it's Walt Disney World, but it's supposed to be.
You're right.
But yeah, their justification for it being a hotel is like you're going onto a Star Wars spaceship, and when you get into the hotel, it's like, oh, the spaceship is like docked on Earth, but then they flip a switch and it goes like, whee, we're gonna fly into space. They flash a bunch of flashlights in your face and like, oh, hyperdrive. Awful. Yeah, and so I guess you would do well, was it cost $6,000 a night or something like that? And then they wondered why no one showed up. At least the Titanic was packed. Whereas it doesn't sound like this Star Wars hotel spaceship. But if you were to take, I guess that would be the fictional Star Wars cruise liner you could sink.
The reason I asked that is because they never make new movies anymore, so I feel like it is literally only in general, but also Star Wars.
This is true.
But it feels as though it is only a matter of time before there is some kind
who owns the
of
Titanic movie? Disney. It's not like Disney owns Titanic the movie, right? I think that
they technically own the copyright now, because didn't they buy Fox?
They bought Fox.
I think they technically
and I know,
own
it may be extra complicated, because I think Titanic was so expensive. I think they had to split the budget between a couple different studios. So Disney might have some skin, but they may not own it outright, but...
We'll get there. They're trying.
Speaking of, I don't know how long it's going to be until this episode airs, if ever, because God, this mess of a conversation. But not because of anything you're doing, but just because you got Bill Mudron on the podcast again. Did you see that, they're actually down at the Titanic right now again? They've been posting to the subreddit, someone's actually, as we're talking on, was this Monday, July 18th, 2022, they're probably down there, shooting video and, documenting, and I forget what the name of the organization is, but I guess what is it?
Ocean Gate.
I guess their whole thing is, they want to document the Titanic every year from now on, just to see how it's faring. So let's see, Ocean Gate's Titanic. My apologies for looking this up online as we're recording a podcast.
Better you than me, my keyboard is so loud.
But yeah, that's been nice to see, because I was away from the Titanic fandom, whatever you want to call it, for the last 20 years, and so this is the first time I've actually seen a current expedition to the ship in a long time, where it's like, oh, hey, here's a recent, especially in HD and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool to see. I mean, it still looks like the ship, at least from what I saw. It's still... Oh, hey, it's the bow, it's where Jack and Rose was. Not entirely different than, 1986 or anything like that. But
yeah, it is cool, because I think it is the most recent footage that we have, and I also like that they're doing it in such an accessible way. They're not like, ooh, we have exclusive footage, buy a membership to our site to see it. They're like, join this thing.
Well, that's the interesting thing. If
free.
they mean to do it every year, it doesn't sound like they're doing it to promote anything. It does sound like they're legitimately just, going down there to document, which I'm all for, because I'm one of those people who gets his asshole in a bundle
for
about,
$250,000 a piece, so it's not totally altruistic. But
so they are taking people down there?
They are taking people. I mean, I think they're obviously, researchers and et cetera, et cetera. But you can buy a ticket on there.
That's one of the things, because researchers at the same time, they still, the stuff is expensive, so they can't do it for free. But as long as they're not, selling stuff that they're pulling up from the wreck or anything like that.
I don't know that they're doing any salvaging.
Yeah. Which again,
or if they are, it might just be for experimental purposes.
And that's one of the big things I wanted to talk about in regards to the specifically why I wanted to talk about Bob Ballard stuff today is because that documentary from 1986 and the book he wrote about that first expedition to the wreck in 1986. That's the one snapshot we have of the wreck before everyone started pillaging it, and so that's why, aside from the fact that stuff is what got me into Titanic when I was 10. That's also, to me, the most special Titanic stuff that's out there, because it is, that's your one look at the wreck before everyone else came and started taking stuff. But it's nice to see, at least this Ocean Gate stuff. Knock on wood, we're going to find out, we're going to end this podcast after saying so many nice things about Ocean Gate, and we're going to find out it's, founded by a pedophile or something. 2022... They
set an explosive in the center.
We're not allowed to have nice things without finding out it gets milkshake ducked into hell, but, yeah, no, I'm looking at some of their footage from last year, and it looks really blue. Because
it's very blue.
It's the Titanic, but it's crazy to see how, even lighting looks better than, 20 years ago when I was still looking at Titanic stuff. Where,
I think that's bananas, is that how much technology, not just technology in terms of, cameras and blah, 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 just, as a concept of where technology was.
Yeah.
Well, because I think about this, too, when I rewatch, you rewatch Titanic. I rewatched it for my birthday with my brother, and I was in Texas, and my parents have an insanely large TV, and it's kind where it's sometimes this is prohibitive. But we were watching Titanic, and for the most part it holds up, but every once in a while there's some CG where you're just well...
How you gonna do it? It's 1997. It can't be helped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I think it really, really shows up in that giant pan over shot during.
The big glory. We talked about that last time. I think maybe the little PlayStation people. Which it still looks good for the time. But if you're really paying attention, this is the other thing that's happened since the last time we recorded too. Didn't James Cameron come out and say he's putting out the movie again this fall? Is he doing anything to it?
Next Valentine's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like I saw that they were remastering it, but I didn't see any details about what that meant.
Well, yeah, this is the other weird thing, too, because then I saw, I just assume that means they're just probably going to run everything through, an AI upscaler or something like that, and not, touch any of the special effects. But then I saw a couple days after that, I love how much of this podcast is us talking about things we saw in the Titanic subreddit. But then a couple days ago, I saw someone post about how, I guess for the 3D version of the movie, 10 years ago, they changed the background of the sunset for the Jack and Rose scene. I'm flying. Did she say I'm flying?
It's
Jack?
uglier.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so they actually have gone back and changed some of the special effects in that thing.
They were like, it's more realistic. I'm like, yeah, but it's uglier.
I did see, because they were saying there were, maybe not storm clouds, but there were clouds on the horizon, where I guess in the original version it was just...
It's a movie. Make it pretty.
I wonder if that's also when, because I remember, was it James Cameron was getting static from Neil deGrasse Tyson about the stars, and he went back and fixed it. So I'm assuming maybe that's for the same thing. Yeah. God, I love how everyone went from Neil deGrasse Tyson is our science hero to, oh my God, this guy is such a pedantic piece of shit. Who gives a fuck?
I never liked him. I was always forever on Team Bill Nye. That man does not speak down to you, and he doesn't feel like ruining every film I've ever liked.
And he seems like a genuinely pretty sweet guy.
Listen, I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson is fine, but it's his whole
it's not
thing
we're saying he's a villain,
this
but
thing. I'm gonna be
you have to be really pedantic
to
turn the whole internet against you. That's one of the few things everyone seems to agree on is maybe that's enough to grass Tyson for a lifetime. But yeah,
It's like, oh god, we gave him a platform and now he won't get down.
but so I guess that does open up the idea, because also I
just googled it and it just says a remastered version will be available in cinemas in 3D, 4K, HDR, and high frame rate.
Oh, high frame rates? Wow, good luck with that, because even fucking Peter Jackson with the Hobbit movies can get that to fly. Well, then also,
what is that going to do? Like, what does that even what does that mean?
That just means Titanic just think is they're just going to play the movie faster. Instead of 3 hours long, it's going to be an hour and 45 minutes.
Really?
Weird. So, I do kind of wonder. Well, I guess they must be upscaling it because it wasn't natively. Oh God, was Titanic shot on digital or was it shot on film? And I wonder if that means he would be going, no, it'd be too expensive to go back and redo all these special effects in 4K natively. You must be upscaling. I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I'm a movie special effects nerd, so I'm like, would he do? And especially, I mean, if he's also working on the Avatar movie, the Avatar sequel, man, that's supposed to be coming out this Christmas, and Disney hasn't done anything to start advertising that yet.
I'm so over those movies. The first one wasn't even that great, and now everyone is like, hey, let's give this man way more money than God needs. Like, we have so many people graduating from film school. I bet if we gave them 1/10 of those budgets, we'd get some actually original
I mean, you could
films.
say that about the Marvel movies, too, but at the same time, like, ain't no one asking for a Avatar 2, but...
No one is asking for Avatar 2.
Well,
it's not as though there was a million burning questions from the first one where I was like, what? I need to know what happens to Neytiri. I need to know what happens to the Navi. What's going on? I don't understand.
About this last time, because we were talking about how much we do love Zoe Saldana, though.
Yes.
But yeah, so I guess he was talking about how he's already filmed Avatar 2 and 3, but then he's like, I don't know if I can find someone to film Avatar 4 and 5.
Why?
I might have to do that myself.
No, it's because he's going to be 178 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, number one, nobody wants those movies, and number two, James Cameron, you're going to be so pickled in formaldehyde by that point because you're not going to get around to it until 2173!
He is already 80, like, he's old already, but yeah, exactly.
It's just like... I don't know what I think he genuinely thinks he might be an immortal alien. Like, I've never met him, but every inclination I get about this dude...
Yeah. He's been looking for the source of life. He's the bad guy from Prometheus all over.
Another podcast was positing whether or not he was a Scientologist, and they were like, I don't know if he is, but he seems like he should be.
I think he worships himself too much to worship even Xenu. Well, I think he's a James Cameronologist. I think that's the real problem with James Cameron.
They told the podcast I'm talking about is called Titanic Minute, and it is a group of 3 guys from the Midwest who discuss the movie minute by minute, and you will scream laughing about it because it is fucking hysterical. But it's just
they talk about Lovejoy taking a peek at the new drawing of Rose.
Do they?
I just right before we started recording, someone on Reddit was like, "Hey, actually, if you look in the mirror, like, because like I guess like when who the hell? I just mentioned the guy's name. Him and what to do?
Cal and Lovejoy.
Cal and Lovejoy. When they're like, in front of the safe, there's a mirror in front of the safe, and you look, you can kind of see Lovejoy kind of looking over Cal's shoulder at the drawing.
Oh, that's right. He does like a little look and then goes, anything missing?
Oh, anyway, I was like, you were making a point. I don't
remember what it was.
I just love the idea of like, Lovejoy's a tiny bit horny for Rose, but no.
I mean, number one, have you seen her? And number two, it's like, when do you think realistically? Because this was a pretty conservative era, like. When do you think, realistically, either of those two guys have last seen tits?
I was shocked. Because we spent a lot of time last episode talking about the movie. And then so I went back and rewatched the movie just after we talked. I was like, what the fuck? I'll just throw on the movie I haven't seen in a while. I didn't realize you actually get to see, when she goes to take off her clothes, there's like 2 or 3 frames you get to see some of her hoo-ha. Like, there's a little bit more than I remembered. Like,
it's full frontal nudity. There's a reason.
There's a flat of like, I was like, okay, you actually get to see. You can tell that she was not completely shaven. I was like, okay.
Listen, there is a reason that teenage boys were actually agreeing to go see that movie.
That was. It's funny to think all these teenage boys in the audience when she's like, it was the most erotic moment of my life. And teenage boys being like, oh yeah, for me too.
Where I'd be like 13 years old.
The one time a bunch of 13-year-old boys can agree with a 98-year-old lady about something.
It's such a weird movie. I mean, not movie. It's such a weird moment in the movie. Because here's like, I think Kate Winslet is fucking stunning. I like to paint as a hobby, and one of the things that I do is like bodyscape stuff. So clearly, I have no problem with the female form. I think it's hot. It's just one of those moments in the movie where I'm like, it does and doesn't need to be here, and it further leans into me where I'm like, James Cameron's an alien because he's like, this kind of scene needs to be in here, and because this seems like such a fucking movie thing.
You know what? I never, of all the people I've heard, like, going out of their way to tear that movie apart, I've never heard of anyone even suggest that you could take that scene out. Either for good or bad. And I'm kind of wondering, I mean, of course the whole plot technically hinges on that scene. You know, the whole MacGuffin of the drawing is the MacGuffin of the movie. But I'm like, if you were to, like, remove, like, if you were to just tell the narrative straight without any bookends with old Rose, I mean, they do end up fucking later, so if you just want them to get physical,
I don't think it's a bad moment, but I think it's only weird because I have done figure modeling before, and it's uncomfortable and annoying.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because
were you posing for someone who was, like, trying not to draw with their finger? Like, okay, it might be a little bit different when you were meant to.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No matter who you're posing for, here's what happens. You get into whatever position you're in, and you're like, yeah, this is comfortable, even if it's laying down. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, my nose itches, my arm's asleep, my butt's sore.
Speaking of which, this is funny that you bring that up. Do you care at all about the works of Stephen Sondheim?
No.
Wow, that was a poisonous no. That wasn't just like
that. Wasn't meant to poison.
That was like he fucked you over at a birthday party kind of no.
I don't have that many opinions on like most celebrities,
which is fine. I do not expect anyone to have an opinion about the works they've seen.
I actually have to.
I am a big fan of Sweeney Todd and Into the Woods.
I do absolutely love Sweeney Todd. Or actually, to Google who he was and who he did, what he did.
Well, he just died recently too. But
he did. I absolutely do love Sweeney Todd. I absolutely adore that musical. I think that they should redo it and have someone not Johnny Depp in it.
Someone who could sing, two people who could sing, and not like fucking him and what's her face.
Which is weird because I also feel like she herself was like, yeah, I'm not really a singer. But
no, she's not. You can tell. I mean, at least they both can't sing, so at least they're paired together. Like they're in their own universe where they can't. Like, hello there, ooh, we're kooky. Old people.
It's just like the songs aren't even that hard, and okay, maybe that's just me being a musical like a singer snob, but I'm just like, okay.
See, I don't know anything about that stuff.
It reminds me of the whole thing with the live action Beauty and the Beast where they put Emma Watson as Belle, and the first thing you hear is just like the worst auto-tune note in your life.
Yeah,
the movie starts, it's got that beautiful swell, you know, the music. And it's coming, you see Belle coming over the corner, she's about to go, little town. But what happens is, little town, or something like that, and you're just like, this is how the movie can't fix that,
No, but the only reason I brought up, because I love Into the Woods so much, I bought a book called Making a Hat. This is about Stephen Sondheim writing about his own work. And one of the things he writes about is one of his plays called Sunday in the Park with George, which I've always heard good things about. And so I bought it on iTunes so I could understand some of the things he was writing about in his book. And literally the first number, it's Bernadette Peters. She's posing for a painter in Sunday in the Park with George. And the whole first number is how much she hates posing for painting, because she's essentially what you just said about posing for someone in the life drawing is essentially just, it's an entire song just about what you're talking about, how you're fine for 5 minutes, but then your leg falls asleep, you got an itch on the back of the back, small of your back, blah blah blah, so.
And it's the same thing, and she even tries to make a joke, she's like so serious, and he's like, no moving, the whole thing where it's like, no matter how much you like the guy, no matter how hot you think he is, no matter how much he looks like Leo and how good he is at drawing, it's like, my ass is asleep, whether you appreciate that or not.
I was more worried about Leo, because if you're an artist in that situation, you want to knock out that drawing. Not even just because you're trying to get laid, but just like, this super cool lady, and like, this is the wrong time to be like, oh my god, I'm just gonna draw a big, like, oh my god, yeah, oh man.
What if now is when he realizes he doesn't actually know how to draw nipples, he can do everything except for nipples?
I mean, I'm sure people have had to have done edits where he shows her the drawing at the end, and it's just the most insane fucking... He's like turned into a furry or something. Exactly.
It's like a terrible drawing of Kermit the Frog.
Sexy with like just a giant dick. Kermit, like not even anything like... It's actually just a tasteful nude of Lovejoy.
You turn to the side, it looks like a cow.
David Warner in his Tron outfit, just but with his dick hanging out, yeah.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
Oh, God.
There has to be an edit of that somewhere, but it's just... No, that's the reason it bothers me. It's not because I think it's like, ew, boobies, but because I'm like, that's not realistic. That is such a movie thing that you can just be staring at someone and so enamored in love that you're fine with your arm being up and over your fucking head for an hour.
Also, that part of the movie kind of gives me hives, too, because I'm always, like, worried that, like, Hal's gonna come in there. Because, like, she is just, like, fucking bad. Like, I don't think they lock the doors or anything like that,
I seriously
so
doubt
I'm just
it.
like, oh, guys, like...
Well, those rooms were all conjoined, too.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because it's not like their own private suite. It's like, the maid could come in looking for butter. And it's just like, how do you know, good luck.
Ruth could come in needing another fucking hat.
I have a question. What do you think about the Titanic soundtrack?
I really love it. And so I am a violinist. I am a classically trained violinist. I played for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And even when I was a kid, so I think we brought this up in the first episode, I saw this movie when I was 8. So I was little and I don't remember a ton. Mm-hmm. But I love the I'm flying moment where the harp plays up and the music swells and the orchestra, it all hits the top as she inhales and takes in the view. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful
Wouldn't it be better
song.
with like storm clouds in the horizon? Yeah. That is...
I think a TIE fighter should just go by.
It is miraculous. As someone who's like a weird robot like James Cameron is, I am surprised. Especially for someone who only... had done, like, the Terminator and the Abyss and stuff before that. The fact that he... Not to say it's a perfect moment, I'm sure, like, he could have done... But, like, it is so delicate of a moment. Yeah. I'm shocked that the same guy who came up with the T-800, like, did, like...
a lot of that... A lot of the credit, I think, for that moment especially does go to James Horner. If you were to put a different kind of soundtrack, even if you did the same tune, but you did it with, say, like, a brass section instead of strings...
Is it just strings for that part? I can't even remember.
It's mostly strings and that kind of like
Is it an actual sound. It's an actual vocalist, not the synth stuff, right?
I don't think that's I think it might be a combo of the two.
Okay, so this is the reason why I want to bring this up, because I wanted to talk shit about James Horner. Well, no, again, going back to the goddamn Titanic, just call this every episode I'm on. This is going to be our Titanic subreddit update. What's Bill seen on the Titanic subreddit since the last time he was on?
Tell me.
Somebody recently, I guess, they did a live concert performance of the soundtrack at the Royal Albert Hall.
They did Titanic, and I did not mean to start yelling at you.
No, but like
it's
that's
the Titanic in concert, which I have wanted to go. I want them. I think that I am banned from contacting the National Symphony Orchestra in DC.
Yeah.
Because I keep asking them to do a film in concert for Titanic.
I'm surprised. Well, man, because you think that would be such a slam dunk. I'd be shocked if they haven't already done that. Because it has an amazing...
I don't... And it's... But the thing about it, I can see where it's it's 3 hours. That's a long time.
When someone posted about that to the subreddit, that was my one response was like, man, I hope they get a lengthy intermission, because that is...
Seriously. It's exhausting.
Fuck. Yeah.
And it's
I've seen that stuff for like Back to the Future and Star Wars, and even those movies that aren't even 2 hours long a piece... they required an intermission even for that. For even after an hour, they were like, "Oh god damn!" But
especially with a soundtrack like Star Wars and Titanic,
where it's just constant,
exactly like John Williams and James Horner. It's always the full section. Mm-hmm. Like there's not a section where it's just a flute, or if it is, it's very very brief. Because I can imagine that playing a film in concert version of Titanic would be exhausting. But
you'd
really
probably
cool.
you'd literally work up a sweat. Yeah. Like almost regardless of what unless you're playing the triangle. Like no matter you're gonna get a workout.
You have 2 cute belts in there.
But also that was the other thing too, because I was like, okay, this is really cool because especially they were showing excerpts, whoever was at the Royal Albert Hall.
Right.
Over the course of the week, they kept on posting more videos from that performance, and specifically they showed they had excerpts from the actual the last plunge when the Titanic goes down.
Yes.
That's when the real synth choir comes up in the soundtrack, and that's the thing that's always and you chunk chunk. You got like the angelic
the doors
synth choirs
punching out.
And everyone's slamming the doors and clanging the metal because it's the 90s and you need clanging metal in your soundtrack for your action cues. And that's
otherwise
the one
why
thing,
do you know it's happening?
I always thought it was so weird about how like the cues like that sound like they were, because I know James Horner would use a synthesizer for just doing temporary versions of music when showing it to a director, and that's what it would sound like. And it sounds like a
Right.
lot of the cues in the Titanic movie, James Cameron was just like, oh no, that you don't have to record that. We'll just use your temp cues, your synth
Yeah.
choir.
That's
But
the
it's
thing
where it's not
that-
consistent though, because sometimes, well, especially the one singing lady. So you do have organic singing in the movie.
There is one solo vocalist, and I think she's the ooh lady.
Yeah, and it's funny too because they also had, I think there was a lady who was she was playing one of the instruments in that live orchestra performance, and she was also the solo vocalist at the same time. She was like, I think she was the violinist during like the third party, the third class drinking party.
Oh, she was in the band?
Yeah, so she was actually part of the orchestra, and also she was the solo vocalist for the Royal Albert Hall performance.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, that just got me thinking about how if James Cameron is going to do a remastered version of that movie, it would be nice if we re-recorded the soundtrack with a full orchestra, the full choir, rather than just like the super 90s Enya. I should not, because I love Enya. Not all Enya, but I have a soft spot. I can't. I'm not one of those people who's like fuck Enya, but like. I'm also a soundtrack nerd, and it drives me like fucking. I love The Princess Bride. It drives me nuts when The Princess Bride soundtrack goes from like full orchestra to like someone on a Casio going do 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 do. I'm just like, what happened? Did you not rent the orchestra for a full day? So you had to get someone on their yeah. So I'm a little bit like that with the Titanic.
I think the synth works in Titanic simply because it was made in 1997. Yeah. I think if it was made now, it would just be like, what in the hell are you doing? But I don't disagree that I think that if they were to do it, that would be an audio change that would be welcome.
Yeah. Or at least, even if you just put out a re-recording of the soundtrack, you don't even put it in the movie, but just make it like, it's not like they would not sell copies if they just had a fully organic version of the score.
An upgraded, re-recorded version of the soundtrack.
Yeah, that's the other thing that kind of kills me too, especially like the big glory moment in the movie where you really get to see the Titanic being put out to sea, and it's got you've got the PlayStation people, and then you've got the synth choir at the same time. Just something about that one
moment
shot
was sponsored by Atari.
Yeah, it's a little that one shot as a result becomes a little more plastic.
This is brought to you by Nintendo.
Than I would like it to be, but. So, but yeah. But those are just minor. I love James Cameron. Or not James Cameron. James Horner. I just got his expanded score for Willow. He could do good stuff. I know everyone makes fun of James Horner for recycling his own goddamn music over and over again. But yeah, if you ever need movie soundtrack stuff, hit me up, because me and my friends, we tend to buy stuff and rep it and trade it with each other a whole bunch. So
I think that the Titanic soundtrack is great. It's
Do you have the version that has like all the source music and stuff too? It's not just like the score, but it's like it actually has like, yeah.
I don't own the soundtrack.
Oh really?
No, I never got a copy.
Do you not have iTunes?
I have.
Did you not use Kazaa back in the day when you were 8 years old? And
yeah, like a long time ago. I don't have it now, and now I'm a spoiled person that uses Spotify all the time because I'm mostly listening to podcasts.
I do have vivid memories of like, it must have been like 1999 where they put out a second version of the soundtrack. Because like I said, I'm a soundtrack nerd, and I didn't necessarily love the Titanic movie that much, but I did like the soundtrack. And they put out, what was it, the second version of the soundtrack, which was like, Return to Titanic. And they even had the commercials for it on TV, where it was all like a massage commercial, like, welcome back to Titanic. And it had more like source music, like, like the band, like, that Drowned, like music from those guys and stuff like that. But I do remember going into like Sam Goody or whatever record store to buy that, and like the clerk kind of giving me, because I was like fucking 22, like I was like 25 when that came out, and here like a fat dopey white guy buying the Return to Titanic soundtrack. I just think of the late 90s, and I always think about that for some reason. I'm sorry, what were you saying? Did I can't hear you. She went away. Our call exploded. Alexia, come back! Jack, come back! My voice croaked in just that right way. I hope you keep this.
We use these technical difficulties to bring you a special interview. Um, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You know what? Go ahead and introduce yourself because you would do it best.
Oh, I'm Titanic fan 97. Ship of Dreams.
And so, for people who may not know, what are you best known for?
Collecting Titanic on VHS. Oh, I love Titanic on VHS.
You do, and it's specifically the VHS, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's been a really long time since I've seen it on VHS, and my first question was, is it in full screen or widescreen?
There's both versions. I like the widescreen edition. That's gold. The gold brick. And they're so hard to find.
Really?
Well, you get more standard editions in the thrift stores.
That, you know what, that's a fair enough point. I legit didn't even consider that because everything's in widescreen now, so it took me back a minute. I was like, hang on.
Well, I'm watching it right now in standard edition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so cool.
Does it, like, for things like that big panning shot where it takes you all the way across the ship, does it, like, because I imagine for things like dialogue scenes it's not as visible, but like, does it kind of take away a little bit being that it's cut off, or does it like not even matter because it's just the movie's good?
Well, yeah, the movie's really good, but you know, if you're gonna watch it, you should watch it in widescreen. Just get the full aspect of the ship and how awesome Jack Dawson is.
So, did you make your buddy your Jack Dawson, or did someone make it for you?
Oh, I made him. He's so cool.
Did you sew him?
Oh no. Well, technically I got the prop from the thrift store, so it was like a full intact dummy, and we just put clothes on him and a wig and a face.
It's pretty cool. I like the dedication to it. But so what is your Titanic story? Like, how did, not just the VHS part, I want to get to that later, but like, what is your story with just the movie? Because I'm guessing, perhaps incorrectly, that you saw the movie before you started collecting, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, I saw it opening weekend. It was so cool. Jack Dawson was on the screen. Oh, it was upsetting though because I did get sick during my first viewing, and I actually vomited all over in the back of the theater, so I didn't get to experience the end of the movie. That wasn't until I got the VHS later on.
Mm-hmm. That sucks. I'm so sorry. I've never been sick in a movie theater.
Oh, I don't recommend it. I think I ruined it for a lot of people.
To be perfectly fair, I don't know if I have not thrown up in a movie theater, but when I was younger, and I think my brother was about 5 or so, he got sick in the backseat of the car, and I was in the passenger seat. So I have been the person in front of you before.
Yeah,
not that fun.
It gets a little sticky.
Ew. Was it this? Were you like seasick from the movie?
Well, there just wasn't enough Jack Dawson, so I was getting a little sick to my stomach. I said, I need more Jack.
The interest in Jack, was that born out of Leomania, or was that strictly born out of this movie?
A lot of people say Leomania. I'm not really sure what that means because to me it's Jack Dawson mania, and I've always had Jack Dawson mania since 1997. Oh man, I love Titanic. I actually had a Titanic candle, and if you lit all 3 wicks, it would play "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion. Oh, it was so cool.
Is that real?
That was real. Like I can't find it anymore though.
Was it like real candles?
It was like a big candle, big circle candle.
Well, like real candles with flames, not like LED lights, right?
Yeah, real flames. We got real hot.
That is pretty intense. I didn't see the movie opening weekend because I was only 8 when it came out. I don't remember when I saw it, but I think it was either early 98 or late 97 because I remember it being cold. But did you go to see it?
Did you see it on VHS or the theaters?
Saw it in the theaters. I did not get sick though.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I did own the movie on VHS. I remember having it. I don't remember how
it's so good on VHS.
It is good on VHS. Why is it better on VHS than on Blu-ray streaming.
Well, if you watch Titanic on VHS, it's super interactive. And you have to pause when cassette number one's done. It makes you get up and stretch. You put cassette number
That's true.
two in. And I think that's just so fun.
The DVD is in 2 still.
Well, it's better on VHS.
Fair enough, but I will say I don't know where I would get a VHS player today. I mean, I'm sure I have someone in my life who still has one. I don't know who that is at the moment.
Well, we'll just go to a thrift store. They have so many VHS players. They're a
That's
little
probably
expensive
true.
sometimes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you
Is
go
it
to the
just
flea market, they're pretty expensive, like $80. I found them
it,
for about $4 to $5 when I went on my road trip.
Jeez. Was it why? Is it just cuz they're not super common anymore?
People claim that VHS is getting more popular, but I'm not really sure.
Kind of like how vinyl has now become a thing.
Yeah, and vinyl's really expensive too.
That's true. I don't have any idea how much is it called a phonograph? The thing that plays a record?
Yeah.
I have no idea how much a phonograph is, and I have a feeling that those aesthetic ones with the big horn are probably really, really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
How much have those been when you've seen them on your trip? Because you went on a pretty big road trip to a lot of thrift stores. Did you see any of those like big Victrola looking things?
I saw one and it was broken, so I'm not
Oh,
really sure. Those are a little hard to find.
that's a very true point.
And Laserdisc
How?
player, I couldn't find any of those.
Oh, I didn't even consider a laser disc player. Dang. I imagine that's probably as easy to find as a dot matrix printer that works.
Yeah, not easy.
Not easy at all. I used to work at a video rental store, which was very, very fun. And the receipt printer was a dot matrix printer. It was a neat time.
That's
And
cool.
this was in the 2010s too. So it wasn't as though I was, working with the technology of the time. No, we'd be like arguing with a dot matrix printer while Googling stuff on our cell phones. It was very fun.
Simpler time.
It was a simpler time, though. I don't know what's more frustrating, a scratch on a DVD or when your like tape would unwind so bad that you couldn't even spool it back in and it was just ruined.
That's why I have 377 copies of Titanic on VHS. Oh,
That's what I was going to
man.
ask. Because you're getting new copies every day, and people will send you copies, sometimes like 6 at a time. So that collection grows every day, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
When did you.
We have a lot of people sending in copies of Titanic, which is pretty impressive.
I've noticed. I watch your unboxing videos, and there's an unboxing per day, basically.
Yeah. Oh, the people are so
When
cool.
When did you notice you were starting to collect copies? I say that only because I don't know that I've ever intentionally started collecting anything in particular. I just suddenly noticed I had a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I walked into a thrift store one day and there was a huge display of just Titanic on VHS, and I had to get it. It was just an impressive display.
Hmm. How many copies were in their display?
I believe it was 14 at the time.
Oh, wow. And how much
And they
was the
were
whole
facing
display?
outwards, so they were completely
Oh,
on
nice.
display.
Yeah, they were
What'd you
very
ask?
obvious about it. They're like, we have a ton of copies of Titanic on VHS right here.
Oh, yeah, it was top
Come look.
shelf. It looked brilliant. It was in the sunlight. We had to get them.
What did they charge you for 14 copies of Titanic on VHS?
Oh, I don't remember. It was probably around
Oh,
$28.
when was that?
That had to be around 2012. So I've been collecting for
Okay,
a
so
while.
yeah, this is 10 years. And I imagine that especially now that the TikTok's taken over it, not over, but like taken off. There we go. And people are starting to send in copies that collection is going to start growing exponentially.
Oh yeah, we've already doubled in no time. It's actually it might be a problem, but we love Titanic on VHS and we will have to get a bigger house if that's what it means, you know?
Who's we? You and Leo?
Me and Jack Dawson. Ooh, Jackie boy.
Sweet. How many rooms does this take up so far? Or have you managed to keep it in one room?
Well, it was in one room, but it kind of took over, so I moved it to a little studio. So now we're just filling in
Hmm.
the studio full of Titanic. And right now I'm kind of running out of space in the studio, so
Uh-oh.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is when you cross that 450 barrier, where are they going to start going?
Oh man, we need to get a warehouse or something.
You need your own little museum.
Well, that'd be so cool.
I think
And
that would be
everything is just
cool.
Titanic on VHS.
And assorted little other collectible things.
Oh yeah. We have tons of Jack Dawson tapes that aren't Titanic, which are pretty cool.
Like what? I didn't know such a thing existed.
Hanging with Jack Dawson, King of the World. We
What
have
are
Jack
these?
Dawson the Interviews 1, Jack Dawson the Interviews 2. We have Titanic the premiere, and that's when they premiered the Titanic.
Hmm.
And then we have Titanic, the kid who took over Hollywood, and that's Jack Dawson.
I didn't know
Oh,
that
we also have
any
Titanic
of.
on VHS. On VHS. And someone made a copy of me and they put it on VHS. It's kind of cool.
This is turning into Inception.
Oh yeah.
Is someone going to make a VHS copy of that? How many times does someone have to make a VHS copy of that before it turns into something cursed?
Probably not that often, or not that much.
Do you think by the third re-recording that anyone else who has to watch it then is compelled to show it to someone else, or an iceberg lands on them?
Yeah, something silly like that.
Something absolutely ridiculous. But then it's okay. In 100 years, they'll make it into a horror movie.
Yeah. Ooh, Jack Dawson gets spooky.
I think that I saw a parody trailer that was like if Titanic was a horror movie.
Oh
I think
man.
that's real.
Is it Titanic 2? Jack's back?
Maybe?
That's when
I
Jack
don't know.
comes back.
There was a channel on YouTube that I found a while ago that was just a bunch of. This could also be a fever dream that I hallucinated, but I'm pretty sure it's real. It was a bunch of trailers, which was like Titanic if it were an X kind of movie. So, like, if it were a sci-fi movie, if it were a horror movie, and I was just very interesting.
Well, that's cool. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm gonna Google this. If Titanic were a sci-fi movie, because now I'm like, wait, did I absolutely imagine this? I did not. If Titanic was a horror movie by Dabble in Dishes. Huh. Okay, so I'm not crazy. That
Well, the
exists.
end was technically a horror movie.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie. The concept of drowning is absolutely terrifying.
It was a little scary.
Just a tiny bit. What did you think of the movie itself when you first saw it, like, in the theaters?
Oh man, when Jack Dawson hit the scene and he was playing poker and he won the ticket with a very lucky hand. I thought that was the coolest. Oh man, Titanic has just stuck with me for so long. It's such a good movie.
It is. For me, I've always.
You really can't forget it, and it was so big at the
No.
time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I talked about with someone is that it was so big at the time, and this was also like pre-internet, and it was, now movies come out like there's a new movie in the theaters every month or so, but I think it's hard to forget that there used to be not super rigid, but there was a pretty definitive schedule for like going to movies, and there was like the summer slump, and there was only maybe a couple blockbusters per season, and if there was a bad season going on at the movies, you didn't wait 1 month. You waited like a long freaking time for there to be anything worth going to see.
Yeah, and Titanic was worth it.
It was, and it also, unlike a bunch of other movies, had all that press leading up to it because of like the budget stuff. So it was just in your face all the time.
Oh, not to mention Jack Dawson. Come on.
There was so many people that really, and not to like denigrate people because obviously I have no problem with however you came to the movie, but there were a lot of people that came to the movie because they were fans of Leonardo DiCaprio, the actor. And I'll admit that I wasn't very familiar with his work beforehand, but why for you are like just you particularly, why are you so interested in the character of Jack instead of, like not everyone else, but the people who were much more interested in Leo as a human being that walks on planet Earth? I don't know. That was the weirdest description I could have used.
Well, Jack Dawson has the coolest hair. I mean, look at his hair. It's so cool. He's
He
got
does have pretty.
suspenders on and boots. Oh man, he makes his own luck.
It's interesting because it's a look that very much, I think it would work today, pretty well.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a fashion movement that involves suspenders. I can't quite pull it off, but it's a cool
He
look.
pulls it off real well. And he's really good at drawing. I thought that was a little inspirational.
Mm-hmm. What
I
about
draw
his
myself.
character, though? You do?
Oh yeah.
What do you draw?
Well, I draw Jack Dawson and bowls of macaroni and cheese and just really nice things. I like to draw the Titanic sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That seems
Just
hard.
whatever pops in my head.
Fair enough. Drawing the Titanic seems hard. I'm impressed by everyone who does.
Oh, so many people do. It's so
But
cool.
it is cool, but it's like it's very detailed. So to me, it's not something that, in my opinion, I could just sit down and sketch. It seems harder because it's like, all right, we got to do the shape, and then you got the portholes, and then there's this, and there's that, and the lines, and funnels, and windows, and this. There's just a lot going on
Yeah,
that
we
ship.
do it for Jack though.
I have a friend who has so far refused to see Titanic
Uh-oh.
because she was a fan of Leo before Titanic, and that's how she's going to remember him forever.
Oh, not the Titanic?
Mm-mm.
Oh
No.
man.
Hey, not everyone was as captured by it as you are.
Well, that's all right.
I know. We need all kinds in the world, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, there'd be a lot more competition for those copies of Titanic on VHS.
Not everyone can collect them.
That's true. I will say I have no interest in collecting them myself.
Whoa. That's all right. More for me.
Exactly. It makes it all better, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you have a number where you're gonna quit, where you're like, oh my god, 3,000 copies is too many copies, or are we just not there yet?
Oh, we're not there yet. We're just getting
Cool.
started.
We're
Well, they
gonna.
made 25 million copies of Titanic on VHS,
Really?
which is really impressive. So if we can get at least 1 million, I mean, that's a pretty cool number right there.
I wonder how many of those are still around. Like out of the original 25, how many have survived in
Probably
total?
not a lot.
I imagine not a lot either. I don't know why, but I feel like VHSs, unlike DVDs or what have you, once they went obsolete, they kind of all were mostly just tossed out.
Yeah, and I hear they're not going to last very long either because of the mold.
Mold?
Yeah, the film mold.
What is film mold?
There's mold on the film.
Is
Oh, it's spooky.
Is that different from like other kinds of mold? Is this a specific kind of mold?
To be honest, I don't really know because I hope my Titanic's not mold on them.
That was gonna be. How does that? What? Let's start. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of water in Titanic, so.
Well, I don't think that they come with the film. Yeah, oh, you're right. Mold may appear as white round spots or irregular clumps on the surface of the thing. Oh, man. Huh.
Yeah, so they're saying like another 20 years, VHS might not even work.
Jeez. I did have a feeling that it might degrade over time, but I guess I figured it. They're reasonably solid, at least in my opinion, but I suppose I don't really know anything about the structure of the film itself.
And that's why I gotta collect them and keep them safe.
Do you have a dehumidifier?
No, I should get one.
I was about to say, that sounds like something you should get. Just to keep them all super safe.
I like that idea.
Besides the copies of VHS and your Jack doll, what's the most interesting like one-off item you have in your collection? Because you have a bunch of stuff in there.
I do have a lot of stuff. Well, I just built this new Titanic throne for Jack Dawson to sit in. I think it's kind of cool.
What?
Well, I built it at VHS.
I was about to say, is it made out of VHS?
Oh yeah, and it's so cool.
How long did it take you to make it?
About an hour.
Oh, there we go. I found it. I found the picture. Nice. I like that. It's one of these hobbies that I think is just like so innocuously fun. This hurts
Collecting
nobody.
VHS?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Not a lot of people understand it, but it's okay.
I don't know what there is to understand about it.
It's just one of the greatest movies of all time with Jack Dawson.
I mean, I guess it's just for like, why would they not? Why would you need to? What? You're collecting a movie you like in a format you enjoy. Why? What is there to understand about that? I'm so very confused.
Well, that's all right.
Well, it just seems really judgy.
Well, it's the internet. They don't
Well,
understand Jack Dawson.
well, sorry, friend. That's
A
stupid.
lot of people
'Cause
do though, and it's really nice.
that is good because like I spend way too much time on Reddit and just some of the things that people choose to be interested in or some of the behavior people choose to engage in just absolutely baffles me. And here you are doing what honestly in my opinion is one of the most quirky yet wholesomely innocuous things ever. It hurts zero people. There is nothing ridiculous involved, and it's just like someone wanted to find something mean to say about that. Get out of here.
Oh yeah.
That's so dumb. Come fight with me or something.
Well,
I
the
have.
only thing I think it's hurting is the market, because they're gonna jack the prices up on these things pretty soon.
I was about to say, but especially with people buying up copies for you, do you prefer going to find them to yourself, or is it way more convenient for them to just come to you?
Well, I do like the adventure of going out and finding them myself, but I will never refuse a free copy of Titanic on VHS.
Fair enough point. When you, I think I found out about you after your road trip. How long was that?
Oh, that was about 2.5 weeks.
And did you go across the country and back, or did you take like one of those specific scenic routes?
Well, yeah, we took a scenic route, and
Mm-hmm.
we just try to hit every thrift store and flea market we could find in search of Titanic on VHS.
That's awesome. How many copies did you pick up on the trip?
Oh man, I think around 50.
50. That's an
Say
intense
about 50
number.
copies.
Sweet. That's exciting. And I don't know. There's just something. I've been sitting here kind of quietly the whole time, but it's not because I'm not. It's just such a wholesome thing. I'm just really happy about this hobby. I don't know why.
Well, it's a really cool collection. One of
It's
a
a cool
kind.
collection. It. I think that's what it is. It's just one of a kind. And like I said, it's like one of the most harmless things ever. Like, what a fun little thing to do with your time instead of arguing with people on the internet like I do.
Yeah, I do
Oops.
get a lot of weird looks when I bring Jack Dawson around places, but it's all right.
Who cares? I have also seen weirder. I saw a TikTok today of a woman who I guess was just real tired and wanted her boyfriend to commit. So she put on her wedding dress, got a bridesmaid and a minister, and showed up at his job at Target and was like, "Hi, TikTok, he's gonna commit to me or we're done." So, you could be doing that.
Oh man, that sounds a
Yeah,
little spooky.
it was pretty intense, honestly, because she definitely was on a war path. It's like if I saw a bride and a bridesmaid and a minister stalking through a Target, I would leave.
Oh yeah.
Because there's about to either be a fight or an exorcism taking place, and I don't want to be in the crossfire.
I might pull up on the real Jack Dawson one day.
I can't tell you how much I would love to see that.
Oh yeah. One
I,
day. Oh, I don't know, but maybe.
uh, I think that people would be thrilled. At least I would be, because that would be a very fun adventure.
Oh, I think so too.
How did Jack come with you on the road trip, or did Jack get assembled after the road trip?
Oh no, he came with.
You came with?
Oh yeah. We have
Sweet.
Jack Dawson, then we got Jack Smallson, which is a smaller version of Jack Dawson. Then we got Jack Dawson, and he's like a puppet. And then we got Jack Dogson, and that's my dog.
Oh,
A lot of Jacks. So not only are we collecting Titanic on VHS, but I'm also getting a Jack Dawson collection.
Not bad about a Jack Dawson collection. I do see your Jack Pop.
Oh yeah.
I think I have. They made 2 Titanic pops. I think I somehow managed to get both.
That's Handsome Jack.
Handsome Jack, and let me see. Almost knocked over my dog. Handsome Jack and I'm Flying Jack. I think.
Oh yeah, I need to get that one still.
Which one? I'm Flying?
Yeah. And there's a really cool action figure on eBay, but he's kind of expensive.
An action figure?
It looks just like Jack Dawson.
Jack Dawson action figure. I have. Oh, that's.
Look at all his accessories.
Oh,
So cool.
No, that face is way Uncanny Valley. I found a black box action figure model doll that looks as it's supposed to be Jack, but the intensity of the expression to me looks like Jack and Cal.
Oh no.
Combined. Yeah, it's a all right, I gotta get out of that window. He's kind of staring at me. That's a Jack
No
Hockley
Cal
there.
allowed.
Oh, this one definitely has a weird resemblance to Cal, which is fascinating.
Oh man.
Oh man, indeed. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll find the pop. The pops, I think, are a little bit more common because they were more recent, right?
Yeah. And I
think
heard
that
there's a new one coming out for the movie poster. A movie poster pop.
Really?
Oh yeah. And
I think
that
it's gonna
might be
happen.
coming out with the re-release of the movie. I'm not really sure yet.
I was about to say, I think that's definitely going to come probably close to when that comes out. You're right.
Oh, I
Just
can't
'cause-
wait to bring all my Jack Dawsons.
Because that's coming out in theaters for Valentine's Day next year, right?
Oh yeah.
That's exciting. I'm gonna go see it. That's gonna be the first time I've seen it in theaters since the 90s.
Whoa, you didn't see Titanic 3D?
No, 3D movies make me really, really sick.
Oh. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
long movie for 3D.
It is, and I get migraines, so eventually I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna die now.
Yeah, and the 3D wasn't even that crazy.
I was gonna ask, like, it's because now when they make a 3D movie, they definitely like film it for 3D. What, like, did it really make an impact to see it in 3D, or was it just like, all right, that's a little more?
No, because they didn't make it for 3D, so it wasn't anything substantial.
That was my question because it's like, what did they even make 3D like?
And it was super sold out, so the only tickets I got were front row. So it was
Oh.
front row in 3D, and it's a long movie, so it wasn't the best experience.
That sounds like that would have made me so sick.
Yeah, I'm hoping the third time's the charm, and I'm really gonna enjoy Titanic in the theaters.
Well, now that you can buy your tickets and like reserve them ahead of time, now as soon as they're on sale, you can like, okay, this is a seat I can live with.
Oh yeah, I need to buy my tickets tonight.
I don't even know if they're on sale yet. I want to go though. I'm excited. I've also been trying to convince the the DC National Symphony Orchestra to do a film and concert on Titanic, but they're ignoring me on Twitter, which to be fair, I don't blame them, but
That'd be really cool though.
it would be great. Cuz did you see the clips that guy posted in Reddit of the live film and concert at the Royal Albert Hall? Oh, you should check it out. He posted a few clips to the subreddit, and he managed to get a few clips of the live performance of the movie done in London's Royal Albert Hall by their orchestra, and it was even just a few clips. It's really incredible because the score for that movie is just so emotive and emotional, and in my opinion, really, really beautiful. So having it live accompanying the film to me seems like just one of the most impressive and immersive experiences.
Oh yeah, James Horner. Oh, did Celine Dion come out?
I doubt it, but wouldn't that have been neat? Oh yeah, they had a vocalist, but it wasn't her. I think it was the one of the orchestral singers. She was good though.
Well, when you write your email again, let them know Celine Dion.
By the way, could you get one of the greatest singers of our time to just come to DC for one night for this thing that no one except for me is asking for? Thanks.
They might do it.
Might, but I think at this point they're kind of like, if that girl contacts us one more time, we are going to block her.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I only sent them one message.
Well, you can send them at least 3, I think. I think that's a good number.
Is that the number before you're stalking?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I've been trying to contact Kraft Mac and Cheese. I only have one more try.
What are you trying to get them to do?
Well, Jack loves his mac.
You want them to make Titanic mac and cheese? What would the shapes be?
Well, little Titanics.
Would they be 1 piece or 2?
Oh, maybe both. A little variety.
That was a mean question. Well, I don't want to keep you too long because you've already given me a ton of your time, but before I let you go, even though I promised you'd never let go.
Oh, yeah.
I have something for you that I'm going to send to you, but now I feel slightly outshined by everyone who's been sending everything. But I did manage to find you a copy of Titanic on VHS.
Whoa!
And
That's Titanic on VHS.
And for funsies, I found a special edition.
Oh, man! What's the film strip inside? Can you open it?
Let me see.
Thank you so much, by the way.
You are welcome. I took it out because I didn't know if it was going to fall out, but it is of Jack and Rose holding hands in the corridor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't know if
cool.
I didn't know if the film strip was secured, so I took it out of the box in case I picked it up and it fell out, but it is behind me on the wall, so that I was like, don't lose that.
Oh, man.
I have a tendency to lose things. But thank you so much for coming on to talk to me about your collection and everything, because it's fun, and I hope that people continue sending you copies and that you continue finding copies for the adventure.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, we're not done yet. We're going to keep going until we have all the copies of Titanic on VHS.
Sweet. And now, back to your regularly planned interview.
Come back! Come back! No, Alexia, she just drowned in the ocean. The handcuffs, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Come back! Come back! Here, I'm gonna go dog paddle over to the... Did they establish the whistle earlier?
What whistle?
Oh, I can hear you a little bit now.
Jesus Christ.
You okay?
What was that?
Yeah, you're batting 1,000 over there today with your luck.
I am so bad. I have no idea what happened. I heard something about a whistle.
Yeah, you're still kind of dropping in and out a little bit, but at least I know you're there.
Great. I'm going to turn off my camera just because that might be part of the problem, but... Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My internet is just being insane, which is wild because I don't have a whole lot open.
Yeah, my experience, I don't know if it actually does anything. That's why I turned my camera off, other than the fact that I'm not exactly a sexy motherfucker. Is that tends to sometimes, at least I think, it smooths things over just a touch. But
it does.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing anything. Let me double check.
No, you're not. My thing is
I'm
just
not
being
bit
stupid.
torn and nothing.
No, I remember
You
using
just missed me. I just
LimeWire.
did an impeccable impression.
I
of
heard
Rose.
that, which is the wild part, is that I gotta hear the entire thing. I'm just sitting
Oh,
here
sorry,
like,
then
it'll
you
come
have to
back
put up
in.
with me just like...
Come back! I think
That's
my
an
favorite...
easy Halloween costume. You just put cinnamon roll frosting in your hair and just yell, "Come back!"
I think all you really need to do is put Vaseline all over your body. Just like
That's all you
claw
really need
through
to do, yeah.
Vaseline. That scene
Oh my God.
always... I think that scene...
For a
even
movie
when
I
was
don't
a
claim
kid-
to care much for, I definitely remember big parts of it. Jesus Christ.
But I remember even when I was little, that scene annoyed me because she says, "I'll never let go," and then
she
lets go of his
literally
hand.
lets... That could have been
It's like,
a
that
bit better
timing
writing.
pissed me off.
Of like, it's like, don't you have her say the words "let go"?
Or say,
and
like,
that's
"I'll
what
never
she has...
give up."
Exactly. So it's not quite so much than like she literally,
Stupid.
yeah.
It's like, "I'll never let go." Violently rips hand away from frozen
She should
grip.
have just snapped his hands off and kept them as a souvenir. That could have been literal.
Then she could have had a love affair with his hands.
Put your... Oh, God. Then she comes that old crazy cat lady who just, like, has these mummified hands she just rubs all over her body. When
Turns out Madame Bijou was her. Jack saw her in the future.
Oh,
No,
wait.
it's like... You're gonna turn into a dusty old lady that smells like mothballs, wearing every piece of jewelry you ever own at a bar.
Oh, God.
You're gonna smell like mothballs because you're gonna have my dead hands
Madame
in your
Bijou,
pocket.
that's the thing. Okay, see, again, because, like, I had to, like, oh, God, Madame Bijou is the lady, that's what it is. Okay, yeah, it's a time travel
sorry, I
loop.
blew back to a reference.
I had to go, I have so many people, I know so many people make Simpsons jokes, so for a moment I was like, is Madame Bijou a Simpsons joke character or something like that? Oh, no, that's alright, yeah. There's your prequel right there. You have young, sexy Jack just on his Paris adventures. There doesn't have to be a plot. It's just computer-generated young Leonardo DiCaprio just, like,
around.
drawing naked ladies for, like, 90 minutes.
I want to know where he meets Fabrizio, because I cannot think of where in God's name he could have possibly encountered...
That's right, because he's already got Fabrizio at the beginning.
Well, I just want to know where he encountered Mario and Luigi's lost cousin.
Seriously. That actor, what's that actor up to these days? I
have no clue.
She's very tiny.
I don't know what else I am doing after Titanic. I am a cartoon. It's like, did he go back to fucking Warner
like
Brothers?
The Swedish
I don't
guys
understand.
are like derpy, derp, like, yeah.
Every single
all
foreign
the
person,
quote-unquote ethnic characters in that movie are cartoons, man.
every single foreign person in there was borrowed directly from the Warner Brothers animation studios.
Well, even like the stewards are also like, hey, hello, what's all this then? Oh, yeah, they're all so uptight that, like, we've talked about this before about how Titanic is more of a melodrama than anything else. So of course,
super melodrama.
all the characters are heightened more than they would be in, well, maybe, who knows. But we live in 22 where everyone's a heightened character, but, yeah. Madame Bijou. Seriously, I'm shocked that there has not been a pitch for, like, Titanic prequel. I'm sure James Cameron will probably write a book someday, and he'll talk about all the pitches he got from the studios about, like, what their ideas for Titanic too. But oh my
I'm
God.
betting you that he thinks he's got really elaborate backstories for all his characters, but if you actually asked him to write them down, they'd be absolutely nothing.
If you were in charge of a new Titanic movie, would that be even anything that would interest you? Like, what would you make a new Titanic movie about? Would you come up with a new set of characters to, like, lay over the existing story, or?
If I were in charge, I'd probably go kind of the same route in the sort of, like, finding a connection to the present to take you to the past. But I don't know that I'd go the romance route. I think I'd probably go more of the, like, reticent immigrant route.
You'd almost have to find something else, just because you're not going to be able to top, at least not in living memory, the Jack and Rose thing. So you'd have to find another way into that story, yeah.
I think that might be the only thing that saved us so far from having another Titanic movie made, is that it's like, oh, I can't hold a candle to that.
Yeah, it's such a specific... Well, and so many, like I said, so many people just think of the Titanic as just being this romantic thing. A lot of people don't even realize it's an actual tragedy. They're just like, oh, that's just a romance movie. And they're like, oh, that actually happened? Wow, that's crazy. But it's been, over a quarter century now, and probably sometime in the next 25 years, someone else is going to try to make a Titanic movie. And not just to cash in on the popularity of the well, not that it was the first Titanic movie ever, but I don't know. It just occurred to me, we'll probably see somebody someday will be like, hey...
Probably. We're remaking everything else. Like, when are we going to eventually have somebody redoing Gone with the Wind?
Man, that's maybe one of the things you can pretty much guarantee, unless they could figure out how to make that, like, palatable to unless it's going to be fucking right-wingers. Like, Donald Trump, like, I mean, not to bring everything back to politics like we started talking at the beginning, but, like, that's the only way I could see. So, I've never seen... I will keep on wanting to call it Song of the South. I've never seen... What the hell were we talking? What's the name of the movie?
That's what...
Just fell out of my head like a block.
Gone
with the Wind. Jesus Christ.
I also didn't think about that.
Like, I was kicking against it so bad, I blocked it out of my mind. Like, I've never actually... That's one of the few classic movies that, like, I know everyone talks about. Or at least when I grew up, everyone was like, this is one of the classic movies I have never seen. I've seen Casablanca. I've seen Citizen Kane. I actually love those movies. I think that they are genuinely great and stand up to everyone's sucking those movies' dicks. But, like, fuck Gone with the Wind. Fuck that shit. I don't even... Like, I'm glad that, like, the last people who care about Gone with the Wind are going to be dead soon. So fuck them.
It was an okay movie.
Yeah.
Vivian Lee's gorgeous, but...
I don't know if I've ever seen Vivian Lee. Because it's not Cary Grant as the main star of Gone with the Wind, right?
It isn't.
I don't even think I know it. I
think it is, though.
Oh man, it can't be Gary. Cary
No,
Grant's
it's Clark
too cool.
Gable.
Clark Gable. Guys, all the. Now you got consumption.
I'm dying. I might not.
If this were a melodrama, that means you'd be coughing. This would be Moulin Rouge right now. You'd be coughing into your little napkin.
I might stop the record on this, not because of you, but just because I am bombing this. I am out of it.
We have been talking for an hour too, so we. Yeah, unless you want to wrap this up. I mean, you can even come back and record an ending to this later too. So, like, if you want to try to salvage this. Okay.
As always, a special thank you to Bill Mudron for tagging along with my continued nonsense. And another special thank you to Titanic Fan 97, who is viral on TikTok for trying to collect as many copies of Titanic on VHS as he can. So you should follow him. Obviously, his handle on TikTok and Twitter is at TitanicFan97. And you can get in touch with Bill on Twitter too at @mudron.com. Nope, at Mudron on Twitter. Good morning. I'm as out of it as I said I was in the record. Anyway, you should get in touch with the show. If you're still listening and haven't given me a 5-star review and subscribed to the show and liked me on all the socials, shame on you. And you can rectify that now by finding me on all the social medias, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as Titanic Talkline, or you can send me an email at titanictalkline@gmail.com and leave me a 5-star review on your podcasting platform. It's right in your hand, man. Do it.